the average of your 5 friends, the books that you read. And if those 5 friends are bringing you down, they're Debbie Downers, their energy's not high where you want it to be, then you got to make some tough decisions.
I'm Luke Story. For the past 22 years, I've been relentlessly committed to my deepest passion, designing the ultimate lifestyle based on the most powerful principles of spirituality, health, psychology, and personal development. The Lifestylist Podcast is a show dedicated to sharing my discoveries and the experts behind them with you. Let's take a moment to talk about our friends over at Joovv. That's Joovv. If you're someone who is interested in having great-looking skin with amazing collagen production and elasticity of the anti-aging nature, if you're looking to increase your tolerance to sunlight and build up that solar callus, if you're someone who wants improved mitochondrial function, hormonal balance, exercise, and stress recovery, red light therapy might just be for you. I've been doing this stuff for years. I'm a huge fan of it and can't wait right now, actually, to get back home to my Joovv red light therapy devices. I've got one in my podcast studio and one out back in the Zen Den. And I love these things. And so I'm here today to tell you not only about my existing. So right now, I'm not only going to share with you my pre-existing love for the Joovv products, but also their new features. They've got a next generation 3.0 product line that features ambient mode that fills your house with a lower intensity red light at night so you can chill, get ready for sleep, get your circadian rhythm on point, knock out that blue light, etc. They've also got an upgraded setup for the new devices, which allows for quick, easy mounting options. So your new Joovv can fit just about anywhere in your home and can also be moved around your home easily. And that's one of the things with the unit I have. I mean, it takes up a considerable amount of space. I obviously found room for it because I love it. But its modular setup is not as flexible as the new 3.0 devices. So Joovv is doing it right, folks. And if you're not integrating red light therapy into your life, I don't know what to tell you, man. We got to find a way to make this happen. So if you're ready to take the plunge and do some investigation, here's what you do. Go to joovv.com/Luke. That's joovv.com/Luke. And if you make a purchase there of the new generation 3.0 devices and use the code Luke, they're going to give you an exclusive discount. That's joovv.com/Luke. When I started this podcast in 2016, I quickly realized that brain fog was not an option. I needed to be sharp and focused in order to do recordings like this, as well as the interviews. So I've been really focused on brain health and cognitive performance ever since. And I've tried dozens of nootropics and smart drugs to fix my brain, keep it working right. And one of my favorite products that I've discovered along the way is called Bee Elixir by Beekeepers Naturals. And it helps you beat brain fog naturally. So all you do is just chug one little shot of this first time in the morning or anytime you need a cognitive boost, and it's going to help you stay organized on task all day long. It's similar to coffee, but there's no crash or jitter, so it's not a stimulant. It just improves brain function. Why Bee Elixir works is that it's powered by natural ingredients like science-backed adaptogens like royal jelly, ginkgo biloba, and Bacopa monnieri. So this is a really power-packed product when it comes to brain health. Another thing that's great about the Bee Elixir is that it comes in little vials, which makes it easy to travel with, throw them in your pocket so you can take one later in the afternoon, etc. Unlike some of these products that are very difficult to be mobile with. So here is where you will find the Bee Elixir. Go to beekeepersnaturals.com/Luke Story. That's BEEKEEPER SNATURALS, beekeepersnaturals.com/Luke Story. And by using that link, you're going to save yourself 15% off. So when you get over to beekeepersnaturals.com/Luke Story, again, what you're looking for there amongst their amazing suite of products is the Bee Elixir. Well, the hits just keep on coming, folks. This is episode 329, The Conscious Entrepreneur, Gamified Life, where everyone wins, with my friend Drew Canole. You can join me next week for episode 330, Everything is Love, Even the Things You Hate, Finding Peace Beyond Bypass with Preston Smile. So 2 back-to-back high-powered episodes. Now, this is another show from my recent Sedona podcast tour and one you are sure to enjoy. Drew and I first met while I was on this trip and we became fast friends. He's a true brother from another mother. He is incredibly inspiring, very kind and generous person, and someone I'm just honored to share space with. For example, Drew and I had barely met, and he offered his personal office to me to do my Paleo Effects live stream appearance when I was asked out by 1993, like slow ass internet at my Airbnb in Sedona. So barely know dude. I was really embarrassed to even ask. You know what I mean? That's a big ask. Like, hey, I don't know you. Can I come invade your personal office space and use it for a live stream? And he was just like, dude, of course. Just totally took care of us the whole time. Just great, great guy. And as always, I must express my gratitude for this job, providing me the opportunity to meet some of the most incredible people in the world. I work really hard to bring the best shows to you, and I am so very rewarded with the relationships I get to build with folks like Drew along the way. So thank you, and thank Drew. Here's a scoop on some of what you'll learn in this episode where Drew and I discuss the new paradigm of wealth, success, and entrepreneurship, the mentor he met that sued him, why he didn't turn to drugs and alcohol to treat his childhood trauma. His story is freaking incredible, by the way. I thought I had it bad. Damn. Homeboy's been through some shit, but he has prevailed. We also talk about the inspiration to start Fit Life TV and how that led to founding his company Organifi, what blocks people from success in their lives, how to overcome scarcity thinking and competition, some of his secrets to financial success and productivity, getting over the I'll be happy when syndrome. And then we really dive into the currency of money and how to make wealth building a fun game rather than a frustrating nightmare. So this was personally a really inspiring episode for me as I move into the next phase of my life at middle age. I guess I'm a middle-aged guy. It's so funny. I said that to Allison this morning. I was like, oh my God, I actually am. I'm, about to turn, what am I about to turn 51? I'm like, oh my God, I'm a middle-aged dude. I just feel like such a kid in my spirit that I forget that. But, second half of life, you want to start thinking about, your wealth and security down the road and kids and retirement funds and all of these things. And so when I think about money in that way personally, it's like, oh God, I just want to have fun. And Drew really did a great job of reframing money as a currency and that it's a game. And we just really had a great time talking about things from a metaphysical and spiritual perspective as it pertains to success in the outer world. And that, my friends, is just a taste of the inspiration you will find in this episode. Here's a little bit about our guest, Drew, for those that are unfamiliar. He's also an author, transformation coach, and founder of Organifi. He's helped thousands of men and women revitalize their health, ignite their vision, and shift the course of their lives forever. After reaching a dead end in his own health, he discovered the chasm of difference between going through the motions and living with radical intention. He now helps people tap into the big you, quote, end quote, to create the change they never thought possible. So this is going to be a really informative and inspiring show. And please remember to share this episode with a friend if you feel so called. And don't forget, you can find all of my favorite health and biohacking products, including Drew's company, Organifi, at lukestory.com/store, where I have spent the past 5 years curating a one-stop shop for the discerning health enthusiast like you. Again, go to lukestory.com/store or just click on the link in the show notes. Okay, so get ready to jump off the deep end with my friend, Drew Canole. Here we go, man. We're here with Drew Canole on the Lifestylist Podcast.
So good to be here, my friend.
Yeah.
I've listened to you and what you're doing in the world and all the people that you've helped. And you made such a big difference. I want to tell you that. Like reading through the comments, looking at the people that follow you, it's inspiring, man. So thanks for having me on the show. And I'm just glad that I can be here in full support.
Thank you, man. And thanks for making the time to allow this to happen before we split. Tomorrow we're hightailing it out of here.
I don't know if I'm going to have a weepathon for at least a week and a half because I've loved having you and your girl, Allison, in Sedona.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been incredible to come here and make some new friends. I think that's been one of the things that's been most valuable for both of us, just to drop in with some really cool people. And, she's living in New York City for the past 15 years. I've been in LA for 31 years. And just when you think like, I have enough friends, you meet someone like you and it's like, oh no, there's room for more, so
yes.
I appreciate it. And I look forward to coming back to visit or having you visit wherever we end up next.
Excellent.
So anyway, thanks for coming on. Bye guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, we have much more to cover.
See you next time.
We have much more to cover here. And it's always much more fun doing an interview when I feel like I've gotten to know someone a bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad we got to drop in. And before I forget, thank you for your hospitality and letting me use your internet over here when I had to do my Paleo FX appearance virtually, and my internet sucked.
What did they say about the salt ball? Were they like, is he literally in a biohacking chamber right now?
No one commented on it. I was expecting people to be like, whoa, coolest backdrop ever. Maybe they thought it was one of those Zoom backdrops.
Oh, I bet you.
Where you can just superimpose yourself on something.
Yeah. You had so much ionizing salt right behind you.
But you saved my ass. You gave me access to your ice bath. I mean, like, what did you just inject me with?
NAD, and we did a little CoQ10 injection too.
Yeah. You're the first guest that I have pulled down my pants for and received a needle in the butt.
You got a nice butt, dude. What can I say?
What little there is, I hear is okay. There's not
You've been
much
doing
of it.
some work. The booty bands have served you well, son.
The lady calls it, what do you call it, hon? Baby buns?
Baby buns? Yes.
All right. God damn it. We got to do a real interview. All right. So you come from most recently San Diego, right? You're a pillar of the wellness community there and in California and the world at large. Mm-hmm. You're now here 6 months in Sedona. Obviously, here we are still. What's this been like for you energetically? And, where are you thinking this is going to fit into your life or not? You're going to stay here permanently? Is this going to be a part-time home, full-time home? Where are you at with it right now?
So I love options. I love the ability and the freedom to go. So when people are like, where do you live? I don't really have a home. I believe home is wherever we are, right? It's where your heart is. So I feel like Sedona is a good 3 to 4 months out of the year. But I also just bought a Sprinter van. I'm going full on van life. One of the big 170 Sprinter vans. We got the Happy-Jack bed in there. So Rebecca and I are going on the road with the dogs. I want to go into some people's homes and help them transform physically, mentally, spiritually kind of stuff. So we'll be doing that probably 2-3 months out of the year. And I love California still, even though it's completely crazy, chaotic. It's insane. I love it, especially Southern Cal, San Diego. I got a lot of friends there, Soul Fam that's there. So we'll keep our property there and we'll just kind of rotate back and forth. There's so many places to see. I feel like we could live 1,000 years and there's always going to be a new place that you want to experience in the 3D. You know what I'm saying? So we're just going to keep moseying around and see where life takes us.
After being here for a month and a half or so and really doing a trial run, like living here, I brought my big boy computer, which is always a sign that I mean business.
Yes.
Trying to do real work out here. Little did I know they don't have internet and half the Airbnbs here. But, I get the sense that for many people, this place, that Sedona, there's only a certain type of person, I think, that is fit for just year-round. This is your home base. You live here full-time. I think there's a lot of people that's great for. 10,000 of them, apparently.
Yeah, and only 5,000 half the year because 5,000 of them travel back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, checking in with you after 6 months and a few other people here, I get the sense people are like, yeah, we come here for doses and then we get out. And I think that might be, ultimately what happens with us too.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Have you found the energies here to be different than other places in the world? You seem really sensitive and tapped into kind of the unseen realm. Do you feel different here than you feel in a San Diego or a Denver or wherever else?
It's adapting for me. I love humidity. I love the ocean. I love water. I grew up next to Lake Michigan in a small town there, lived in California, lived in Florida right on the coast. So I've always been next to water. So coming to the desert with the altitude, with the mountainous, the dry, some days were 100 degrees, Luke. Like that's hot.
Yeah, it's no
and
joke.
when you step outside, it's a little different because it's literally your water's being sucked out of you. Mm-hmm. So there's this whole integration period. I mean, I had some pretty gnarly headaches as well for like the first 2 or 3 months. I mean, I showed you earlier, but even in the bedroom, I have like 3 humidifiers that are just pumping out
industrial
air.
Industrial
strength humidifiers.
Yeah, not like from Rite Aid, the little $20 ones, like the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely an adjustment being in the high desert. But Sedona is a magical place. You think of something and then all of a sudden it happens. You want to go on a show or you have a podcast you want to do or an idea, a business concept, and all of a sudden, boom, it's here. So the ancients, the Hopi and some of the other ancient tribes would use this place to heal any decisions that they needed to, or bodies, or they've had ceremonies here. And then they would get the information and then they would leave. So it's a very powerful, powerful place.
Yeah.
And there's a peace treaty on the whole entire place. It's been this way for, I guess, hundreds of years.
Really?
Yeah. So this is like a no fighting, feuding zone.
Wow.
One of the main reasons why I came here was because my Don, who I've been working with for 13 years, who worked under Don Juan, who Carlos Constaneda writes about, Don Javier. So for 13 years, I've been working with him in Dreamtime. So going through different plant portals, experiencing different dimensions, different planetary experiences, all in Dream. So he literally lives right next to me here in Sedona.
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, I know. It's
and you
insane.
Didn't know that he
no
was
idea.
Right there. Yeah.
No idea. And then I came here and this lady, we looked at 12 houses in Sedona. 12th house, we made a decision. We're like, this house is awesome. We're going to take it. It was like 95% of what we wanted, right? Greenhouse, sauna, enough space for the biohacking, the usual stuff, right? And
when you live like us, you literally need like an extra couple bedrooms worth of square footage for all the tools and toys,
And so the extra square footage, 12th house, and this woman came walking out of the juice bar that we love here in Sedona, local juicery. Mm-hmm. And she's like, hey, I've overheard you talking about a house. I looked at one yesterday over here. It's off market, but it sounds to me like it's exactly what you're looking for. And I knew every hair on my body stood up, the ghost bumps or whatever you want to call them. And I'm like, this is the house. Came here, made an offer. They accepted the offer. There was like 5 other offers. They accepted our offer. And I get a photo from a friend who's in our Toltec family of traveling in Dreamtime. He's like, you'll never believe who you live right next to. And it was the back porch of my Don, who I've been working with for 13 years in the Dreamtime, in the physical, but in the non-physical, we've been together for hundreds of thousands of years. So super powerful, dude.
Wow. That's wild.
I was like, all right, I'm moving to Sedona. Let's go.
That's wild.
So,
yeah. I mean, listen, like talk about hearing the call. And it's funny when we first connected here and you told me that story, I was thinking maybe something like that'll happen for Allison and myself, and we're kind of waiting and watching and looking around and just nothing's happened. It's been very still in that regard. There hasn't been a clear indicator or sign or a door opening and really things just flowing and becoming easy. And so it's interesting. But I have to say in closing, just the loop on Sedona, there is, I've always loved it here. I've been here many times. And there's something really unique in this land in that it's desert and it's so dry, as you said, but there's water. That's what's always been
the river.
So alluring here is you can get in like a forest climate in the spring, summer, and fall. You have, that green belt along the Oak Creek, and it just feels like there's a refuge of water in the middle of this really harsh climate. In the desert, everything's so prickly. You know what I mean? It's like you can't go barefoot anywhere. It's just so harsh and kind of unforgiving. But then you have the refuge of the smooth rocks and the water and, places you can go barefoot and just ground and, of course, collect spring water in a couple places.
Yeah, you get your spring water here, right out of Mother Earth, which is incredible. And you go to, what's the website to find all the natural springs? Findaspring.com.
Yeah, 1 year.
Fully charged.
1 year I was driving to Colorado and I knew I was going to be passing through here up through Flagstaff. I took kind of a scenic route so I could go through Sedona, and I filled up the entire back of my SUV with 5-gallon glass carboys just with the purpose of filling up at that spring and bringing it back to LA. I drank that water for, I don't know, it probably lasted me 3 months or something.
Nothing like that real water.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wet water.
Yeah. So just a different experience. So I always want to encourage people to use that site. And, if the spring is a little suspect, I always recommend people send it into a lab, have it tested just to make sure.
Yeah.
But I've been drinking from springs since I was a little kid, and I don't know, I'm still here to tell the tale. I'm gonna jump way back.
Yes, let's go. Because back into time.
Yeah, there's something really interesting about your journey that I really relate to, and then there's a part where you deviate from my journey. And the part that I relate to is the childhood trauma.
Yes.
I've heard some things about your story, and you went through some pretty harsh stuff as a kid, and it's the type of neglect, trauma, abuse that either is going to turn someone into a serial killer or something close to it and end you up in prison as a drug addict or criminal, and a perpetrator of abuse on other human beings, or going to be a catalyst to turn you into a beacon of healing and hope. And you have taken the latter path. But I thought it might be good as a starting point for people that see this healthy, ripped, happy, successful business person, entrepreneur. You're a really inspiring guy. And I think people will really benefit from knowing that it wasn't always that way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So if you haven't heard some of my story from the past, and I have to preface this, I don't tell you my past to elicit any emotional response. I'm not trying to get sadness or, the feeling energetically of, feeling despair, any of that. I believe what happened, it all happened for me, right? I've come to terms with that. And it's been a long journey. As you know, any journey is, especially when it's healing trauma that's in our body, our subconscious mind, our body. So from 0 to 5, I was tortured. And the newspapers talked about it at the time in Cadillac, Michigan, as one of the worst child abuse cases they've ever seen. And thankfully I'm still alive. My sister who was with me is still alive. But we had some pretty horrific stuff happen. So as you could imagine, right? I don't need to go into detail because it's the past, and all that we have on a higher level is right here. So essentially, what have I done to help me remedy the trauma or heal the trauma?
Well, I want to get into that.
Yeah.
But in the story, you had your family of origin, your biological parents, right?
Yes.
And then ended up in foster care, and then were eventually adopted by some healthier, caring parents.
Yeah.
But was there not a point in your story where you had a mentor that kind of came in and really altered the course of your trajectory?
Yes, mentors are riddled throughout my journey. And it's been like this golden thread throughout my whole life of people that have impacted me. And I would say, okay, so from 0 to 5, all the abuse happened. In foster care, there was another year of abuse because it's hard to integrate when you're emotionally damaged, is what they would call you, which is a label, right? Emotionally damaged kid. And then I was adopted by my mom, Jeff and Connie, who are amazing, human, angelic, present people in Michigan. My mom was a janitor my whole life, dad, truck driver, right? So for like middle class, beautiful souls, like you would imagine. And they really helped with a lot of that healing. But from 0 to 6, that was a lot of work that I had to do personally later on, because it kept showing up in relationships. It kept showing up in choices of drinking alcohol, of having my own addiction tendencies of the stuff that I was into. It showed up in control trips, trying to have power over other people at a very young age, trying to maintain any equanimity and control over anything I could get my hands on. And then I went on this journey, and I realized I was, from my 20s, I would say 25 to 30, I started my own company. I've always worked for myself. Like 90 days, I worked for a company called Quicken Loans, doing mortgages right out of college. But then I'm like, I'm going to work for somebody else because I'm driven, I'm motivated. And so I did that. And it was all trying to get something. It was trying to obtain money. It was trying to be a human doing. Over and over and over, I would do to get results. I'd fill my bank account up. I'd have the watches and the cars and the clothes, and everything looked great on the outside. But inside, Luke, I was falling apart. I was half of the man that I knew I could be ultimately. So I was drinking every weekend. I was going to the bar to unload and get rid of the stress from doing not my soul's work, as I would call it, not my journey of the highest evolution of what I wanted to create. And I did this for many years, 4 or 5 years. And every morning during the last 3 years of that journey, I would meet with a man named Frank. Frank and I would sit down at breakfast. We would read scripture. We would go over, old ancient text. We would look at it, and he had a background in Christian Science. So,
did you guys ever read Emmett Fox?
Yes. Emmett Fox is my boy.
Oh, man,
I love
great.
Emmett Fox.
I rarely meet someone that knows who Emmett Fox is or is familiar with his writing.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Joel Goldsmith as well.
Don't know that
Neville
one.
Goddard. You know Neville Goddard?
Don't know that one.
So all Ralph Waldo Emerson, of course.
Yeah,
So all of these thought transcendent type beings.
Pardon my interjection here,
Yeah.
but I think in that new thought movement, it's like 1930 through 1945 or so, right in there.
Powerful.
Napoleon Hill,
All of
Emmett
them.
Fox, James Allen, the advent of Alcoholics Anonymous,
Yeah.
and their founder or co-founder Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob were all in that. What am I looking for? Era as well. It was really an interesting period of not only American literature, but there was just a movement where these writers and philosophers had sort of rejected a lot of the theology of Christianity and just took the core principles, the truths from it, created the laws and created some of the most powerful teachings. So anyway, I just shout out to all of that whole era because it was hugely influential on me too. And I kind of forget about it because, you know, go on to different stuff. But anyway, carry on. This is great.
Yeah, I'm glad you referenced that. So he was big into Christian Science. So of course I looked up to him like a father. Like the father that I had, you know, my adopted dad's great. Don't get me wrong. But Frank was just a different kind of human being. So much grace, so much love, always thinking about other people. And he's still alive today. I still talk to him all the time.
Oh, that's great, man.
He's probably 180. Nobody knows his age because he never celebrates birth, right?
Oh,
doesn't
is
believe
that
in
where
it.
You got that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
doesn't
so funny.
believe in it. He's like this ageless, sentient human.
That's so cool.
So sitting down with him, going over Science and Health, which is the handbook to the Bible, which actually explains how Jesus was able to heal people on a metaphysical level. So that's kind of what Christian Science is. It's Science and Health with Mary Baker Eddy, who's a female, literally, who wrote this book in the late 1800s. Think about a female writing a book in the late 1800s that goes against the traditional Christianity textbook of the Bible. Like, this is it, right?
Right.
So we were reading that. We were getting charged up on how was he really seeing people? How was Jesus seeing God and everyone expressed and healing them in a second because of his perception, changed the reception of the human that was in front of him. And Frank was living proof of that. I mean, I saw people get healed in a second dealing with him. I've had instantaneous healings working with this guy. So just by somebody witnessing you on the observation level in a different way. So Frank changed my life. In his younger years, he started JCPenney in Italy and speaks fluent Italian.
Wow.
First time I met him, he literally came up to me and kissed me on the lips because he lived in Italy so long. And I'm like, this is different. We don't do this in America.
What kind of mentor are you?
But then, such a beautiful soul. So great mentor, changed my life, really got me into reading a lot.
I can tell.
From that point, I started reading for a while, I was reading a book a day. And then I was reading a book a week.
Yeah, your library down in the office there is impressive. I was down there again today while you and Allison were recording. I was like, something tells me he's actually read all these books. Dude, another side note here. I used to be quite an avid reader, especially in the morning. I'd read my spiritual literature and that would really help me ground. And I did that for years and years. And then somehow in the past couple years, I find it very difficult to concentrate when I read. I'm like, I'm going to read this book, and I pick it up, and I drift off, and I'm super ADD. And I swear to God, I think it's from my phone. I think phone addiction and the constant refreshing, scrolling, switching from apps has really damaged my ability. I'm not saying I can't get it back, but has really interfered with my ability to just sit with the book, focus, and really dive in. Have you noticed that at all? With yourself, you use technology, or is your reading still as on point as it ever was?
100%. You need to phone fast. So lock it up, put it in a safe, put it in a black box, put a timer on it. Don't touch your phone, dude. That thing literally, I see so many people walking around looking like the Walking Dead. And it's literally sucking the life out of you. It's calling you. And it's meant to stimulate you. Every neurotransmitter you have in your brain, it's designed for
where's
that.
My phone?
It's it's space technology, right? Legitimately, you have to. That's why Instagram, Insta-drug, right? Facebook, the book of narcissism. Facebook, I got to look at my face. I got to look at the face of others. I got to see who's liked my stuff. Every time you get a heart on Instagram, you get that dopamine rush. Every time you get a new email, people are connecting to you. So people are becoming more virtually integrated, which is great until it's not. When it comes to focus, when it comes to your first hour in the morning, I say lock it up. Get rid of it completely. Put it in a different room.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
The morning thing,
don't 100%.
Touch it, dude. I dance
Yeah.
with this and I have not mastered this. And Allison's over here. She sees me like she's, respectful enough to just let me have my journey, so to speak. But if I get up and I don't do my meditations and my things to get connected,
you can't be you.
I will be much more psychotic that day if I get up on my phone, especially with the things going on in the world right now. I've never before 2000...
Which we love the psychotic version of you, by the way. Just so you know.
I'm taking one for the team,
Your memes, when you're getting in a little psychotic, I notice the memes will start to flip down this dark alley. And I like it. I'm actually a personal fan of it. I'm sharing some of this stuff.
Is strong.
You got some memes.
I'm not going to lie. There's some dank memes flying in my stories on Instagram. And I guess they go on Facebook.
You know which one was my favorite?
What?
You guys, if you remember this, tell me, because I cracked up and I shared it.
I should make a highlight reel of my dank memes so they don't go away. Shit.
It was the sheep with the black dog. Dude, I could so relate to the shepherd dog, in the middle of all these sheep looking up,
and he's going
smiling.
the opposite direction, too.
Yes.
At least I like to think of myself as that way.
And that's everybody listening to your show, by the way. We're all that black dog.
I think people that are very independent in their worldview have stuck with me. But when the pandemic, I don't even want to call it the pandemic. When the thing they call a pandemic with a 99.9% survival rate, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Some geek would be like, dude, it's actually 99.2. You're fake news. But anyway, when this thing started, I started getting pissed as I found, let's say, discrepancies in the official narrative and all of the livelihoods lost and all of the catastrophe that has been the thing they call COVID virus. I started being a little more outspoken, a little more on the social and political side, because I just could not shut up about it. I just can't sit by and watch our civilization be destroyed. And I did weed out, inadvertently a lot of people that are, I guess, much more trusting of the official narrative and the corporate media, But you're so right. You're so right. I feel like the people that are left in my little social media circle, they get it. We all kind of, are on the same page of questioning the reality that's presented to us.
Question everything, even about you. Beyond all conspiracies and everything else. Question who you are. Who are you really? And I think most people have a hard time with that because they would rather take the program that somebody else usually gives to them, their family, their friends, the teachers, the educators, upload it to their mainframe, and then all of a sudden they live like that for years, dude. So this is very real for a lot of people. The fear, my mom could get sick, my dad, different people that have comorbidity or whatever it is. This is so real for them. And when we put ourselves in their shoes, it's I get why they're like this. I totally understand. I can have infinite compassion for somebody that wants to do this all day. Right? But also there's a level of respect both ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I totally hear you and I see you, brother. And I'm right there with you, that warrior Cali attitude. I'm trying to wake up as many people as possible right now.
I mean, I'm going to go down fighting. You know what I mean? I might not be right all the time, but I got to be right some of the time.
Yeah. And the data has all the details.
That's the part that always gets me is the data. And people say, trust the science. I'm like, yeah, I am. And the science is saying this is all bullshit. But anyway,
And intuition. Intuition tells you everything. Right away. If you're silent enough to really listen to it, it's oh, I know what's going on here. And then you don't even need the data. It's you just have the information. It's right there.
It's like the intuition. Okay, so I can get on a plane with 350 people and we're all immune as long. Anyway, we could go on about that forever. And I'll probably lose more listeners as we go. But anyway, it's worth it, I think, to reach the few that are also questioning. Okay, so we had the mentor. Here's the thing that I think is curious, and this is what I alluded to earlier, and that our paths deviated a bit. So I experienced my own versions of childhood trauma. I've talked about it a lot on the show. I think it's my greatest gift, really, in the end, because
I would agree with that.
It gave me my own strength eventually, but there was a lot of pain and suffering for me and anyone in my life along the way. My method of coping with the trauma and things that I experienced as a kid was very early on, just fully commit myself to drugs and alcohol and rock and roll, really.
Which is perfect.
And so I went down that path as far as you can take it without basically not being in a body anymore, and cleaned up my act when I was 26. But I don't get from you, aside from you saying, I experiment a little here and there. You never went off the deep end and became a full-fledged drug addict or alcoholic in response to your trauma, did you?
Well, I was more angry.
Were you like violent fighter?
I wanted to prove through my success how worthy I was to be loved.
Okay.
So mine was, I'm just going to become a business mogul. I'm going to collect things, right? And Sage is joining us. And I am going to show the world how cool I am, right?
Okay.
By collecting people, by collecting money, by collecting things. And it was all to cover up the broken little boy inside of me. And the more I started to work on that version of myself, that's when the true healing started to happen. So I didn't go down, I went down the alcohol path and the womanization path, like for a long time. Because mom didn't love me, mom left me. So I wanted to show the world that every woman that I would meet, I could get to fall in love with me. And it was just surface love.
Wow.
Right? It was just broken love. And what really, so I went down that path. Totally. Those were my addictions.
Got it. Okay.
Right? Sex addictions.
That makes perfect sense. It's the overcompensation of the lack of self-worth. Whereas a guy like me or a kid like me had so much self-loathing and shame and self-hatred that it was like, I never even thought to try to overcompensate or mask that by being successful. Yeah. I was just like, cool, I'll just completely wreck myself. It's just like, all right, I'm already a loser. I'm just going to take it full tilt.
Yeah.
But I do know people like you know, that have, I'm going to prove to the world that I'm lovable by, I got a Ferrari. I built this business. I have this woman on my arm, et cetera. And I think that's...
Which is ultimately similar things, like almost the same, vibrationally speaking.
So when was it that you were, that sounds like through your mentorship that you described earlier, you did some of this early on of starting to align yourself with universal truth, principles, the spiritual nature, the metaphysical nature of life. But when was it that you really started getting into and facing and addressing the trauma from your childhood?
Yeah, I buried it for a long time, man. I didn't even want to believe that I had it, right? It was like one of those things where it's like, no, I'm good. I've already forgave him. Like when I was 6, I prayed to forgive my dad, right? Which was massively healing. Like forgiveness is a huge step in helping heal trauma for sure. So I didn't even recognize that I had it. And there was mother wounds and stuff that I had. I think when I really started to address it would have been, I went through Landmark.
Oh yeah.
I went through all the, is it called ESK coursework? Like all the ESK teachings. Yeah, ESK. Yeah. So I went through that and I was probably 24, 25 at the time. Changed my life. Like understanding my story, my narrative, the movie that I'm creating, all that stuff, which was powerful. So I addressed it there. And I actually, at that time, I wrote a letter to the prison because my dad got 3 life sentences in jail. I wrote a letter to actually ask to let him out early.
Wow.
So that was massive.
Is he still living at this time?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to do like a John Carter thing where I meet him face to face and spend some time with him. I haven't met him since I was like 5 years old.
Wow.
He'd be powerful.
Have you been in any form of contact with him?
Not since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy. What about your mom?
Mom, occasionally, not in like 5 years, my biological mom.
Mm-hmm.
What I find in this work is that women store it more than men do. So she's embodied a lot of the stuff. Like she feels terrible.
Mm.
So I haven't really spent a lot of time with her. I haven't felt called to spend time with either one of them. Not from a place of, I'm anger or resentment or anything like that, but just from a place of, I feel like I've had so many monarch and, father figures in my life that have just showed up with divine love.
Yeah.
And they've really assisted and supported. And I think when we start to see the world as that, we're not hung up on that one person. Because the whole universe shows up in a way that supports you and parents you and, parent, like they're renting you, like a pair of them, right? So when we look at it that way, it's like, okay, well,
that's great.
They've indoctrinated me with a lot of my ideas, but what would even be a higher idea right now in this moment? And I'm constantly new in the moment. So who's going to show up as that figure next?
How does that spontaneity and living in the moment play out in your acuity and skill as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, my team, I give them whiplash a lot.
I sense that from hanging around you, and it's
They're like,
it's an amazing quality and one that I share with you to a degree. But when I'm around you, I'm like, wait, where'd he go? And I'm super spontaneous,
Yeah, you need an integrator. So in business, somebody who is totally detail oriented, follow through, high on the Colby. Somebody who is an implementer, follow through, fact finder. Right? Those are the people that you and I want around us. Because as a visionary, somebody who's aligned, somebody who's in the message, you're doing the video. We need somebody that keeps the wheels on the bus. Otherwise, we would just have a bunch of creative ideas. They would never get done. So I learned that long ago, and I surrounded myself with people that are actually really good at getting stuff done, and they love it. They love Excel spreadsheets. They love marketing. They love KPIs, and that stuff puts me to sleep.
Oh my
right?
God, bro!
Yeah. So in business, I think we have almost 100 employees at Organifi, and I really try to remove myself as quickly as possible from any role per se, and any label, period. Not only in Organifi, but in anything in life. I don't like labels. I think they weigh us down. I think sometimes they constrict us. They put chains on us. Because I may have to be somebody completely different tomorrow for you than who I am right now. So,
nice.
Yeah. So to long answer short, find people that keep the wheels on the bus and just be you. Keep being a bigger example of that.
Yeah.
If you're a tornado, become a bigger tornado.
I think there's a huge lesson in that, and I got some of this. I almost guarantee you've done this personality assessment because you mentioned Colby. Have you ever done Strength Finders 2.0?
Yeah.
That little book and that little 15-minute personality assessment was so meaningful to me as a business person because my whole life I felt stupid. I couldn't focus. I can't do math. I can't read a P&L. You send me an Excel sheet and I just want to jump off the roof. It's maddening. And when I did that assessment, the whole premise of that little book is let's find out what your top 5 strengths are so that you can celebrate those and stop frustrating yourself trying to do the shit that is not your top 5 strengths,
Yeah.
And I think that type of self-study and inquiry is so useful because then we can find our unique gift. And rather than, for me, like beat myself up because I suck at calendars, times, dates, then the skill there is to be visionary about finding someone who loves to be.
And you pump them up. You enroll them. You give them what they need, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Pay them well.
Yeah. But I think there's a real gift in that lesson is to not try to be good at everything. Find the couple things that you're really good at and just amplify that and celebrate that. And for those of us like you and I, and I'm sure so many people listening that have had to really claw our way out of a lot of false conceptions about who and what we are because of our childhood experiences, it's even more important than ever. It's like a shortcut, right?
Well, people try to put you in a box. You got to be good at math because mom or dad's good at math, or you got to be a lawyer because mom or dad's a lawyer. So then they shove that down your throat. And I think it robs people because we have these incarnate gifts that we have access to always, but we suppress them so long. And people don't follow their joy in Western America. They would rather follow money. And I think that's a dying system. I think you're going to see a lot more people, I'm going to do something that makes me happy. I'm going to do something that brings me joy today in the moment. I don't care how much money it brings me. And that was the decision that I made with Fit Life TV 11 years ago. It was like, I just want to help people with health. I didn't want anything else. I didn't care about how much money I was going to make. So I just recorded a video every day and I put it on YouTube. 11 years ago, I was like the OG influencer of YouTube, right? So every day I uploaded a video. Sure enough, first 4 months, 12 views on each video. I was killing the game, right? I text my dad.
Your cousin.
Dad, I got 12 views. You didn't watch it yesterday, 24 hours later. And sure enough, it kept growing because of the love, not because of we're trying to get anything, And then it transformed into Organifi later on. But super powerful, man. You got to follow your bliss. You got to follow your joy. And I think when people really get that, it changes not only their biology, but it changes all the different bodies we have. Their electric body, their energy, etheric, auric field, all that. Because when you're in joy, when you're entering, like to enjoy is to enter with joy, it changes who you are in every moment of entering any place. And that's infectious. That's the virus we need to be spreading, is that joy virus. How much love can I give out? How much joy can I share? That's why when you walk into Organifi, you see a mat that says, be ready for hugs. Like we were in an environment of just a bunch of huggers, right? That connection, that community.
We'll be right back at you after this brief but important announcement. I'm about to drop some information on you that could quite possibly change your life. It's called Organifi Red Juice. And in preparation for the recording of this promo, I just made myself a glass of it, and I was reminded of the fact that Organifi has done something nearly impossible, and that's to take organic superfoods, adaptogens, antioxidant, medicinal mushrooms, all the things I like to get into my diet, and actually make it taste delicious, to the point where I could probably do too much of it if that's a thing. So Organifi Red Juice is absolutely incredible. And at about $2 to $3 a glass, you're saving yourself, I would say, $10 over a fresh pressed juice that you would get at your local juice spot. So here's a couple of the ingredients that are really turning me on at the moment. First one being beets. Beets have been shown to help the body clear out toxins, act as a cardioprotective food, and a very powerful food for the brain. They also increase exercise endurance due to the fact that they are loaded with nitrate, which is a natural way to increase nitric oxide in the body. Red juice also has a freeze-dried berry blend with blueberries, acai, pomegranate, raspberry, strawberry, cranberries, and then, of course, cordyceps, the medicinal mushroom with incredibly strong adaptogenic qualities. In fact, in 1993, the Chinese women's Olympic track team was accused of being on steroids for their incredible performance. Turns out they were all using cordyceps. Real deal. It's an amazing medicinal mushroom. Also includes Siberian ginseng, reishi mushroom, and rhodiola. So the Organifi Red Juice is power-packed. It's delicious and something I like to include in my diet as often as possible. So if you're ready to check it out, as I hope you might be, you can go to Organifi.com/lifestylist. That's ORGANIFI, Organifi with an I.com/lifestylist. And if you're smart enough to use the code lifestylist, you will save 20% off any item in the store. That's Organifi.com/lifestylist. Check out the red juice over there. And now back to the interview. What about people, because I'm a firm believer now, after finally 5 years ago kind of arriving professionally at something that I think, I have enough competence in.
You're great at it.
Thank you. To be successful at, and also it's my core mission here on the planet to alleviate suffering and help uplift people to figure it out for themselves. Point the way, give people some info, empower them to do their thing.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, and myself included, are passionate about something, right? So we've got the passion. I really want to say, for me, it was be a musician.
Yeah.
For a long, long time.
Which you shred on the guitar, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Because that's going to counter what I'm about to say. And I want to say this, and I don't mean this in a self-deprecating way at all, but I think just in a humble assessment, I believe it's true to some degree. That was what I was passionate about. And I thought because I was passionate about it, that's what I was here to do. But I'm just not that innately talented at it. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is what I call the American Idol syndrome. It's like where you have someone on that show, a contestant, who like they know, capital K, that God put them here to be a pop singer. And they get on the mic in front of the judges and they're like, and they think it sounds awesome. And they're passionate as hell and they believe in themselves. But in some small way or large, they are deluded and are going to have potentially a heartbreaking and frustrating time trying to be successful at choice A, the thing they're passionate about, because they might have the passion, but they just lack the innate specialized skill in order to make that into a viable career. So what does one do if their passion is like continually kind of hitting them up against a wall and they're unable to turn it into any kind of a livelihood, meager or grand?
Well, when I help people find purpose in their life, I'm looking at a Venn diagram, right? So I look at what brings me joy. I look at what helps other people. And then I look at what makes money. So if it brings me joy, like that's just the first step. What helps other people is a big thing too. And then how do I make money doing this? And if I'm a musician and I haven't made any money, because of, you know, then there's a good indicator in that Venn diagram that I'm not living in my soul's purpose. So what's going to bring all three of those together? And currency generally isn't financial currency either. Currency is just energy. It's a wave, right? Current. So how am I bringing more love into my life? Money is my own natural energy yield. So broken down is the acronym. So how do I have more of that? And I think a great assessment is asking your friends. You know, Luke, I just sang on the American Idol stage, and I'm wondering if you think I got a good voice, Luke. And it's being brutally honest with your friends. Being like, you know what? I'd give you probably a 6.5 out of 10, right? So you could do this your whole life for 30 years, not making a living doing it. But if it fills you up so much, then go do it. But you know what? I actually think you're really skilled at this. So it's having that 5 or 6 people, you know, whatever, 7 people in your life that will give you that honest feedback that allow you to lean into your purpose even more. Because we all have gifts, but because we're so in our own heads, we're in our own narcissism almost, right? Like you said, like I want to be a professional singer. I want to do this. An athlete, same thing. A lot of athletes fall into this. We need to be real. So, and the sooner you get real with that, the better it is, because you're just compounding over time. The more you figure out your gift. I mean, I wish I would have figured out that my gift was actually doing videos and helping influence people and help them with their health. Like when I was in my teens, you know, that would have been amazing, but it didn't happen till my late 20s. But am I glad that it happened? Yeah, because that's like another day I was born. It's like I really came to life. Your purpose will animate you. It will give you energy that you never knew you had, especially when you're doing it for other people.
God, that's so true.
Yeah.
I think about podcasting or speaking on stage. Dude, I can be in such a crappy mood or stressed out, having anxiety, whatever. Like from the outside, you could look at me and go, man, rough day, huh, Luke? The minute this recorder turns on, dude, I'm just like, bing, ding, ding, ding. My brain starts firing on all cylinders most of the time.
Yeah.
And I just drop in and like, I'm in flow. It's just the weirdest thing. Same with speaking on stages about things that I'm passionate about.
That you love, you're passionate about. Yeah.
About metaphysics, spirituality, health, things like that. And I think that is a key indicator is like when you find your gift, you just said, you're going to be energized beyond belief, and it won't feel like work. And I think the challenge for some people that do find their gift, like I believe I've found mine and you found yours, is then having the wisdom and the humility to understand that it takes a village. Mm-hmm. So how do you attract those people into your life that are going to be supportive of your gift and your mission now that you've uncovered it?
Yeah.
And fill in those gaps that you're still not good at, which for me, like you, it sounds like would not be looking at the Excel spreadsheet and,
not at all
doing that thing. Yeah. So, I'm sure there's a lot of bean counters that have found that their gift and their passion is that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, I love counting the beans. Pour them on the table, Luke. What do we got? Let me show you. And then they explain it to me and I go, I have no idea what you're talking about. Is the line black or red? That's what I want to know.
And it's beautiful. Like the gift that they have is so divinely beautiful to them.
Yeah.
That I'm in awe.
Yeah.
I've had integrators in the past, and one of my dear friends' brothers, Jamel, CEO of Gamified, like he is so gifted at numbers. I mean, he was literally building drones in aeroscience technology before he came. He would literally walk through a door that says, enter at your own risk, you could get cancer, with all the chemicals and everything else of this engineering facility for the, aeroscience. And he's brilliant beyond measure, right? When it comes to math, when it comes to this, and he absolutely loves it. His brain just thinks differently.
Yeah.
So having those people around you is super, super key. And a gift that we all have is helping people find their purpose. That happens to be one of my superpowers. I can see it in a second in somebody. And if they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, I pretty much know like right away.
That makes you a great founder and why you've been able to scale Organifi in the meteoric fashion that you have is really, I'm sure, applying that to your team.
Yeah. And some of it becomes even what we would call supernatural, but it's very natural in the sense that now my team just sends me names of people and they're like, hey, what's your reading on this? And I'll literally, it started as imagination, but then I was proved over and over and over again. it becomes more and more real. Like you can literally see who they worked for, who their past employers were, what they would say about her before you even need to check in with a reference.
Wow.
Because all the information's in the field. It's all around us. We're light beings. We're electromagnetic beings. So as soon as we get quiet and still enough, we have information that's there, access to it. So it's bringing that in as a aligned visionary, or what we would call a corporate mystic almost,
That's so cool. Yeah. Allison has that ability. I want to say everyone has that ability. I think some people have cultivated it more than others, perhaps, but that's something I would like to have more of too, even as a longtime meditator and someone who's definitely aware of the non-physical realms. I get blindsided a lot still, especially in business and hiring people and things like that. I'm just like, what? I thought they were going to be great. And it's just like, nope, worst hire ever. It's just, I hope they're not listening. They're probably not. But yeah, that is a real skill to be able to find someone's unique ability and put them in the right seat on the bus.
Yes.
Something I want to cover with you is this. I thought of this because you're one of my peers, you're a few years younger than I, but you're a really materially successful guy. You got a huge home here in Sedona. You've got 100 employees. I mean, you're probably making some cheddar, okay? I could be wrong. You could be like, $1 million in debt. I have no idea. But you seem to be a successful guy. You have all the toys and accoutrement of someone who has figured out the material plane in that way.
Yeah.
As I would like to more myself, actually. So there's a number of different directions I want to go with this, but one that keeps coming to mind based on feedback from listeners and people that interact with me on social media is when people look at, a guy like me or a guy like you, for example, and have all these biohacking toys and things, right? You got the $5,000 Juve red light thing, the $20,000 float tank, the hyperbaric thing, all the things. And I always say, hey, you don't need any of that shit to be healthy. You just need to get back in nature and rewild yourself.
Exactly.
You don't need
Stare
that.
into the sun for a few days.
Yeah, right. But if one does, just say those are the toys that they like, which I guess people that listen to my stuff, those are their goals. I'm not the Ferrari guy. I'm the give me a float tank in my garage guy. I'll take that over the Ferrari any day. I'm fine with a few-year-old car.
There's different guys.
Yeah, but the point I'm getting to very slowly is, people will reach out to me and be like, oh, being healthy is like a rich man's game or a rich person's game. And like, I'll never be able to have that stuff. And, this sort of like defeatist, scarcity thinking / envious, jealous kind of,
I like jelly.
Jelly. You're totes jelly. Resentful at those that have figured out the material plane game.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of those?
Here and there, someone will pop in with that. And I empathize with that because it's been a long, hard road for me to just have some mastery over my finances. And I'm starting to achieve a little more success now. Not what I would like to have just in terms of my security and whatnot. But for a long time, I was in debt. I had no respect for money as a currency.
Yeah.
I just run up my credit cards. I was $100,000 in credit card debt for probably over 15 years. And I could not get out from under it because I kept debting. I'm like, I'm going to Brazil with what money? Credit card balance. I mean, this is how fucked up I was. I used to look at my available credit as cash flow. That was my net worth, was like how much a bank was willing to lend me at 29%, right?
Yeah.
So the money game was very hard earned, and I really had to start working on that and being disciplined and being more of a steward of currency and that energy, having more respect for it. But to my point and my very long-winded question, I really had to start working on my underlying sense of deservedness, worthiness, that I am a guy that can have a $5,000 sauna, that I am a guy that can, someday buy my own home or have this car or sit in business class or whatever things I've been able to do for myself with God's help over the years. But it's been a real struggle for me to just feel like I can be one of those people over there that seems to have it figured out too.
Yeah.
So what would you share with someone who feels like they don't have the DNA to ever get their head above water and achieve, the financial success or even security that they might desire, that feels broken or dumb or not talented enough or artistic enough, and that look at those people on the other side with kind of a mild hostility
Yeah.
if not worse.
I could talk for years about this.
I sense that.
I love this topic because, mom, janitor, 3 jobs growing up, dad, truck driver, no wealth frequency at all. Together, they made like 35 grand a year growing up as a kid, which was nothing, right? My mom would like cut cardboard inserts for her shoes just so she could buy us Christmas gifts. And even before that, my biological parents, I'd have like macaroni and cheese and hot dogs, like welfare, growing up, that kind of stuff. The welfare cheese,
Yeah.
It's not really cheese.
Yeah, the giant
the brick.
Velveeta bricks.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of detoxing to get that out of my body. And what I've talking about detox, there's something that's really stuck with me in my life. And it's realizing, if you guys get this, if anybody gets this, it'll radically shift your entire life. But it's hard to embody this. This is one of the biggest things that most people will never embody in this earth plane. And it's why you will continue to you'll have scarcity. It's why you'll continue to, live with credit and have debt and not be able to afford what you really want to afford. So here it is. And it's so simple. The universe is mental. The universe is mental. And what do I mean by that? I mean, the 4th dimension is the mental realm. So anything I create here is created here. So I have to create it here first before it shows up here. So before I was ever rich in reality, I was rich here. I poured so much light, so much knowledge, so much knowing into my brain, the 6 inches between my brain, the greatest real estate on the planet, right here, that said, you know what, Drew, you're enough. Luke, you're a king. You deserve to have a house. You know what, Luke, you deserve to have all this biohacking. Like you're a child of God. What you touch turns to gold, right? Everything you do, you're helping other people. Like, isn't that enough to reap what you sow? Like you're a cheerful giver. You're such a cheerful giver, dude. I rarely have somebody come to my house and actually bring me a gift. You've done it twice now. You gave me this beautiful crystal, right? And it was so heartfelt. You gave me some steaks from Belcampo today, which my love language is definitely food. So thank you for that. And blessed are the cheerful givers, right? It'll be pressed down, overflowed, shaken up, and given back tenfold. So I've realized, number 1, the universe is mental. Number 2, the universe is a game. I live in a game. This is just a simulation. This is just a movie. So why would I ever be attached to the monopoly money on the board? I'm not attached to money. Right? Which is why I'll stroke $100 tip for a waitress where my meal's like $10. Or I'll do random things where I'll buy somebody, a car or something like that. Like ridiculous stuff. I'm always pressing my wealth edge, I call it. Because it's a fucking game, dude. And the more you stretch yourself like you do physically, you stretch yourself financially, it has to show up. It always comes back to you. There's no way you will ever outgive yourself. This is a law. There's no way in hell you will ever outgive yourself. But it's your unconscious mind that sabotages you. So number 1, the universe is mental. Number 2, it's just a giant game. You could meditate for 40 years. You could chant for 40 years. But if you want samadhi, you want fucking samadhi, and I'm using the F word because I get fired up about this every single day, look at the world as if you're a trickster. And this is just a game. There's nothing to lose. There's nothing to risk. Right? It's why ultra rich people that come from nothing get really wealthy really quick. It's because there's no resistance. Because we want, we resist. Because we believe we should have, we push it away. You already have it. You're already, even doing these podcasts, dude, like most people that do podcasts, they want to sit in this misconception of, you know what, I need to have 100 million views this year, 100 million downloads. When I get there, and the get there is the trap, because you're already there. There's no such thing as linear time. It's this illusion that we've created as humanity. So the spiritual law is so number 1, mental, number 2, trickster, number 3, present every opportunity as if you've already done it. And the 4th thing added to that, which would be a sub-A letter for the linear thinkers out there that are following me on a little graph sheet, right? Because my brain doesn't think like this. I'm struggling over here, is celebrate as if it's done. You celebrate. You enter every room as if it's a celebration or the last or first party you'll ever see in your life. You dance with the strangers that you meet. You sing to the strangers in Whole Foods because it's just you, right? Your body starts vibrating on a whole nother level. Human beings feel that. You are a magnet. You are a battery, right? And when you get the polarity, when you get that field correct, money will come into you like a tidal wave. Most people have no idea how to get their field correct. So they're walking around with broken energy. And the broken energy from the field creates the broken thinking. Thinking creates the broken physical reality. I'm fucking broke, right? Your self-worth is a direct reflection of how much money's in your bank account. So when you get that, you start pouring into the mental realm. And you do it at first, and it sounds hokey and it sounds weird. But I'm abundant, I am rich, I am successful, I am powerful beyond measure. You know, whatever it is for you. Money is coming in now. I decree and declare that a $10,000 check, whatever it is for you, is going to show up unexpectedly in the next 24 hours. And you believe it. And eventually the belief becomes knowing. And that's when the whole universe opens up. You have more money than you'll know what to deal with. You'll have people sending you free biohacking shit, which you already have, right? All the time.
Yeah,
right?
I am a testament to that manifestation. You know?
And the money is just a byproduct of your energy, my own natural energy yield. You're changing hundreds of thousands of people's lives on this podcast. Isn't there a reward for that? Everybody should be rewarded, because the more you're rewarded, the more you can give. That's the secret.
That's amazing. And think, oh God, there's so many things in there. But for some of us that have clawed our way out of the crab bucket,
which I have, you and I both have.
There's kind of sometimes also a survivor's guilt phenomenon, right? Even now, sometimes I find myself wanting to look small, play small, not celebrate some of the modest, financial or material success that I'm achieving, because it's like I feel bad for the people that haven't had it yet, or that, God, like I get all this free stuff, like you mentioned, right? Which happens a lot of the time, and I'm so grateful for that. And I feel like, oh God, I can't even share this with people because I'm going to feel guilty because it didn't happen for them. Yes. But then again, they haven't done 350 3-hour podcasts, or done whatever energetically I've put out into the space of consciousness to have that reciprocity come flow back in my life, where people are like, here, have a bunch of free stuff. But what about that phenomenon of kind of survivor's guilt or guilt success when you weren't born with it?
Yeah, I think tracing it back for me has been helpful. So I don't know if you noticed or not, but when you were talking about survival's guilt, your left leg twitched a little bit.
Oh, shit.
So left side mom generally. So female side of the body, which tells me that it's generally something that your mother impressed upon you, right? And the mother, like, that's just your indoctrination in the field of the experience that we call your reality now. And that's all in the past. So the only thing that exists is here. And if you make your mind up that you are a king, that you deserve, pressed down, overflows, shaken beyond measure, tidal waves of money coming into you right now, that's going to happen for you. But the power of the belief and knowing is hard to get to. So tracing it back, understanding, what is it about my mom? Or I'm not saying that's it, but that's just my reading in the moment. What is it about my dad that impressed upon me in this? And how is that a false concept? And if I could Control Alt Delete that, because everything's a program, right? The universe is mental. The program is coded with mental realm. What thought, what idea could I over implant that with, or upgrade, we could call it, right? What's a better thought? And then you get a better thought. Well, I have downloaded 356,000 hours. People have listened to my podcast forever, right? Like, that's a long time. And I deserve to be compensated for that. What's a better thought than that, right? And then eventually you get to this place of, I don't have to do anything to be deserving of anything. Simply because I'm breathing, simply because I'm here, simply because I am the multidimensional human that I am, created in the image and the likeness. I am deserving and I am worthy. And when the world gets that, that's a whole nother game, dude. Because then you don't even need anything material. You'll be literally pulling it out of the fifth dimension. We're going deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole on that one.
No, I mean, this is the truth. I'm thinking, I'm reflecting as you share this, which is such good information, exactly what I wanted to share with people. It's not something I talk about, on my solo cast or things like that much. And I also, haven't really been inspired to talk too much about this other than a couple episodes on manifestation and things like that. But in thinking about how much things have changed for me over the years of adopting some of these paradigm shifting ways of viewing myself and my life experience, I was thinking back to some of my vision boards.
Yes.
I was talking about this actually with Jim Hart over here at BioCybernaut. And on
Such a cool place.
Yeah. Rad guy. I went through there in 2015. Yeah. And I was reminded like, oh, I need to keep doing this. It's amazing. But as you were talking, I just thought back to a few short years ago. I think it was around the time I started my podcast. I used to type up on pieces of printer paper, just goals and affirmations and things like that. And I put them on the wall or I put them on my vision board. And one of them was, I have a net income of $20,000 a month. And I used to stare at that and a voice in my head would be like, who are you kidding? Like, you can't have that. Seriously. And they're like, no, yes, this has happened. All the things many of the things that you alluded to, like I deserve this in one realm of reality. This has already happened, et cetera. But it's still, there was that little voice that was like, yeah, but you're still fooling yourself. And I think back on that sometimes now, and it's like $20,000 a month. I sold myself so short. Like that was so easy.
Because it keeps going up.
Yeah, it was so easy to do that in a sense. I mean, it wasn't, but it wasn't. There was hard work, inner and outer. But I think back like, God, man, when it comes to people listening, don't sell yourself short and make your goals. Not that they have to be monetary, but whatever your goals are, like you can be so much bigger than you think you can, and that's a monetary example, but you could say even in my relationship now, I'm in such a fulfilling, beautiful, healthy, loving relationship.
Yeah.
I could have never even conceived that this was possible for me or that I deserved it or there was a person out there that could meet me there. And there she is. The more I started feeling deserving of it and stretched
she's so awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I agree. But just, I guess it's just a lesson in like, go bigger than you think you can or deserve, because whatever your minimum is in terms of manifestation.
Double it.
Yeah. You're going to like meet that minimum and then be like, God damn it, I should have asked for more, It's like if you ask Santa Claus for, this gift and it just comes so easily, it's almost as like, oh man, I could have asked for more the whole time and I didn't know.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I'm glad you said that because there's been points along my journey. I do shower notes. So in the shower, I have this waterproof sticky note thing that I write how much money I want to make, goals, relationship, all this other stuff. And over time, I've seen that exponentially increase. And I just continue to do it. And it's worked really, really well for me to impress it upon my subconscious. So I think that's the biggest thing with money, goals, anything else is we got to get the unconscious moving in the right direction. And the unconscious is the elephant. The monkey mind, the monkey riding the elephant, like in the ancient texts, is your thinking brain, right? So how do we get the unconscious to move? I'm a very visual person. So even in the beginning of my money journey, I would leave money all over my house so that I was impressing upon my subconscious that money's everywhere, right? I would lay $20 bills, $100 bills, green candles. I mean, I went all occult, mystic, like crazy, right? This was like 11 years ago. And everywhere I'd go, every time I'd look at the money, I would say, money's everywhere. It's so easy. Money's everywhere. Because I had a belief, my mom taught me at a young age that money doesn't grow on trees. Attorneys are bad, doctors are bad because they have money, right? And that we don't want money because it's more responsibility. Like all these false lies. And we've been indoctrinated with those lies. And they keep us small. They keep us back from that. But we got to get the unconscious to move. So leaving it all over your house. Self-hypnosis is another thing that I love. So I recorded my voice talking to myself and I put myself in a theta state before I'd go to bed, telling myself that I was abundant. And I would open up a lucid dream portal to where it was like, now I'm standing in a room and I'm with all these affluent people speaking 5 different languages, like educated, affluent, understanding business. And as I would drift off into theta state, I would implant myself with the sound of my own voice as a self-hypnosis trick that I used like 11 years ago. So self-hypnosis, and then any frequency that you're after in this universe, because everything is frequency, is created collectively by the group, right? And I'm just rolling. I don't even know what I'm about to say.
Good. Keep going. I love it.
It's created collectively by the group. And the human, as you know, is a giant crystalline figure, blood broken down, crystal isotope, creating energy, right? Creating a field. So when I'm around 5 people that are broadcasting the field of love, secure attachment, not avoidant, not anxious, right? They're all secure people. Naturally, my field is plucking information out of their energetic fields and creating my field whole. everything is mental. All of a sudden I start to have thoughts of theirs, you know, that I'm thinking, hey, relationships are easy. It's secure. I don't have to be jealous anymore, whatever the relationship stuff is. Same goes financial. Financially, there's just a wealth frequency. And once you tap into it, you can spot a person across the room. And I know you've done this before where it's like that person has money. And they could be wearing a t-shirt and have Chucks on, but you just know it. You're like, hey, that person's vibrating at a high wealth frequency, and it's intuitive. It creates a sense of safety. It creates a sense of self-worth. So that third part of that would be surrounding yourself with anybody that you're trying to get in this world. That's like the ultimate life hack, because you're the average of your 5 friends is really true. And it's the energy, it's the frequency, it's the grid that they make together that you're actually plucking information out of to acquire and put in your energetic field, because we're just all frequency.
Great point. The mastermind principle.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of Napoleon Hill. Yeah. For those listening that identify and understand that principle, that you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with. And if you're looking for career success, finding your purpose, material wealth, all of that, what would you tell someone whose 5 best friends are real great people, lovely people, but are in a scarcity, limited mindset and are not successful in the ways that that person seeks to be themselves?
Then I would say fire those people. Yeah, it's hard. The same goes with abusive relationships or people that don't have, who they're surrounding themselves with is eventually who you become. It's who you're surrounding yourself with in the books that you read, right? We've all heard that. So whatever you're doing in the moment, the present you, the future you will eventually show up. So I'm paying myself every day for that future aspect of myself. Am I in the eternal now? I'm trying to be most of the time. Most of the time I'm not yet, right? Because I'm still here. But the average of your 5 friends, the books that you read, and if those 5 friends are bringing you down, they're Debbie Downers, their energy's not high where you want it to be, then you got to make some tough decisions. If you look at Dolt's pyramid, which is the pyramid of transformation, right? NLP, it's this pyramid. On the bottom of it, it says environment. Your environment dictates epigenetically. We know this, right? Your environment changes your DNA. Your environment of your friends changes your where you're going to be in life, period. So seek those people out. There's a reason I'm hanging out with you, right? Because I look up to you as a brother, as a friend, somebody who has done the work, right? And I feel that. So I want to be around that. You're magnetic. And when people want to change their life, it's all about surrounding yourself with people in whatever way you want to go. And it's hard. You got to have tough conversations. I've had to break up with my boys several times in my life, right? The first time they were all gamers and they weren't really doing much. The second time it was we were drinking every weekend in the bar together. Right? And now I'm just constantly evolving who I'm around. Every time we become better as humans, our circle becomes better too. We're upgrading everybody else around us. So enter every situation is how can I make this person's life better? And eventually you'll have people around you that are constantly making your life better, where they're blowing your expectations of who you thought you could be. You're living in a real life vision board. And that's the game of life. And you win every day. Which is a great book, by the way. Florence Shin, Game of Life, How to Win. Powerful. If you haven't read that. Written again in the early 1920s.
Oh, wow.
By a female that just absolutely crushed it. Like the information's there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Did that help? Did that answer your question?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, you got to have the
really
tough talks.
A valuable information. And it brings to mind that the principle of not wanting to be the smartest one in the room.
Yeah.
You know, I think early in my journey, as I really started to identify the value in service, especially in recovery, I mean, that's the only thing that really changed my life, was starting to identify how pathologically selfish and self-centered I was.
Yeah.
And to start to surrender and relinquish that selfishness in service of others. And also in just mentoring people and coaching and things like that. There was a certain point at which I realized I have the most altitude here in the room, for a long time. And there's kind of, there's a temptation, an egoic element to that, because everyone comes to you as the expert or the sponsor.
Ego loves it.
Right? And so there's this kind of complacency in that, all right, I have my shit together more than anyone in our little peer group. I'm the king homie. And then at a certain point, thankfully, I think through some self-awareness, I started to see God bless these cats, love all these guys, but where's the person that I'm looking up to?
Yeah.
And that I'm going damn, that's inspiring. I'm going to follow in their footsteps, and people that I can learn from in my inner circle and things like that. And it's still kind of a work in progress. And I think that's one of the things that's been great about getting to know you here is just like, man, here's someone who's really inspiring, doing some cool shit, has overcome immense challenges and is just continuing to better themselves and to, have their eye on service while also expanding their own reality, and
Thank you, brother.
Giving to yourself and loving yourself as well as other people. And I think that's it's a really important stage, is to find that balance of service to self. There's nothing wrong with that, if it's balanced with service to others. And in there somewhere, maybe we find that peer group that is nudging us a bit like, come on, man, that's all you got. Like, we know you have more in you.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. It's such a good lesson, and that piece of being the smartest guy in the room. Or at least you think you are, but being like the leader of men kind of role.
Biggest trap.
It is a trap.
Especially in business. Mm-hmm. You want to be the dumbest person in the room. You really do.
Right.
You want to be the dumbest person in the room with the most trust. Right?
Nice.
Yeah, because if you can trust, if you can get over yourself and you can enable another person to make decisions on their own and you can believe in their decision, like wholeheartedly believe in them, and they feel that, that's the most powerful force in the universe. You could build an infinite number of businesses and you'll very rarely fail. People need to feel that. They need to know that they're believed in, that they are powerful beyond measure. And when you can witness another human being like that, like we had talked about, it's powerful, man. So yeah, being in a circle that does that for you, like that'll elevate you to the moon. You have more energy than you know what to deal with. The problem is most people are around a bunch of energetic vampires and they're getting sucked dry all day and they don't even know it. So it shows up of lack of energy. Even some blood tests look a little wrong here and there. Eventually it creates disease because they're in resentment. Their soul's in resentment. I'm not living my soul's calling. I'm hanging around with people that are bringing me down. Your soul's screaming inside of you. You're getting headaches every day and you're wondering why. That's why. Yeah, change your environment, change your life.
Speaking of energetic vampires, it brings to mind the groupie phenomenon, and that is, as someone becomes a beacon of light, or has, the symbols of success, there is a propensity for people with vampiric energy to gravitate toward those people
100%.
To try to get something. As you've become successful at business and at life, have you had to learn how to have discernment about what someone's motives are that wants to be close to you?
I think that's definitely something that you get, like discernment with that. Number two, you create boundaries and shields of not allowing you to go there. So the universe is mental. So everything in the universe is a mirror for your own consciousness. So whoever your group is of listeners, those are actually a collective consciousness of you, Luke's story, right? So if you're getting people that are writing in and they're getting all groupie-like, and there's nothing against this, but it's just something in your mind, because the universe is mental, that's actually creating this, right? I get trolls every once in a while, and I'm like, all right, how did Drew create this today? Let's look at this, right? What personality aspect do I have that really is feeding into my ego or feeding into the needy ego, more importantly? Where do I need that, right? So I'm getting the opposite of it. I'm resisting it, so I'm getting the opposite of it. So when I realize that and I remove Drew, the limited Drew, I'm talking about the identity of Drew, from being the CEO, being the entrepreneur, all the labels that come with it, right? When I am just a guy that's here to help people, that's fueled by source, I'm just a vessel in the hand of God, right? Then all the temptation for those people to show up, it just simply fades away. I don't even notice it. Like it's not even there for me. It's not even in my field. And the same goes for relationship stuff, right? I've been in relationships in the past where I'll broadcast a frequency of, hey, I'm in a relationship, but I'm open, or I'm like at least entertaining the idea. I would never cheat, but I'm open to the idea of emotionally having a conversation or something to see what could come up. And as soon as we shut that down, as you know, you've probably witnessed this with Allison, it's like the women that would normally show up, never, it's not even a thing.
Totally.
Because we're no longer broadcasting that energy.
So true.
So does that make sense?
Yeah,
does that answer the question? Yeah,
absolutely. I love it. It's good stuff. I could do this forever.
I know.
But from what I understand, we got some burritos to eat across town pretty soon.
We do, but they're keto and they're carb free and sugar free. And
I never have to look at the time when we record, but it is 6 o'clock, and I don't want to keep our fellow attendees waiting. So I think I'm going to start to wrap this up. But I'm so glad that we're able to have this conversation and cover a lot of topics in a way that I haven't before. It's really cool. I had a bunch of notes here, and I did cover some of those, in a more concrete way. But I love just how this flowed into,
me too.
Into the success element and also defining what your success is. I think that's important too. It's for some people, they have a vision of success as being something that they can show people on the outside. And many of us, I think, discovered that the success is you wake up in the morning, look yourself in the mirror, and you're like, I love you, dude. If you got
and that's it. Yeah, that's
You've won the game.
That's the biggest battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the person looking back in the mirr're.
Yeah. That's
There's
funny
a great
because
poem.
I was doing save that poem, but I want to just cop to something. I was doing an Instagram live earlier after I did a cold plunge in your 40-degree pool out there.
Is it? It probably is 40 right now.
Yeah, it's cold as shit.
Yeah.
I was going to go in your
Did
ice
you dive
bath.
in?
No, I do not. I'm not a diver. I went with Troy Case the other day up to Oak Creek, and he's
that guy's crazy.
He's full on. He's just like, he just dived head first in the river. I'm like, cool. I thought I was hardcore, but I don't like getting my head underwater in that way and freezing water. But anyway, I was out there hanging out, had a wonderful time while you and Allison were recording, and then I was doing a live, and I was looking at the mask that we call Luke's story. I was looking at my face. And I was having all these self-deprecating, like self-hate thoughts of like, oh my God, I look so bald. I look so wrinkled. I look old as fuck. And I caught myself and I was like, wow, God, imagine how many times a day on some days, or perhaps at a certain vantage point in a camera or mirror, I'm actually having those thoughts about myself. And it was it was really telling. I thought, wow, that's incredible. After all of these years of all of this work, that there's still some little thread in there that is basing my value on what a thing that's not even me, being this body, looks like.
So true.
You know what I mean?
So true.
So going back to the inner success, to me, like a great metric of success would be like, look at yourself in the mirror naked and be like, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You're perfect.
You're a stud.
You're perfect just the way you are in your brilliant imperfection.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful, man. Yeah. Be kind. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest battles. I go through it. Looking in the mirror, doing that. Oh, look at all these gray hairs, everything. I'm losing my shit, man.
That said, I'm still going to biohack the hell out of this body and, preserve it.
I had all my biohacks ready for you. I had a list, and we ended up talking about metaphysics and spirituality, which I love.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, the physical stuff, it's novel, it's fun, and I covered on the show because I think for a lot of people where they are on the journey, having the vitality in their physical vessel is really important. But man, the only reason we do all the biohacks is just to get the feeling that we're talking about inside. Yeah,
it's all belief. It's all information in the program that we're putting into it. Every biohack that we have, it's not as powerful as our thoughts about the biohack. The placebo is so much more powerful.
Yeah.
I had this, I don't know if it was my imagination or what, but I got on an airplane once and I looked around, and for a moment, I swear, every human being I looked at had like, one person had blue skin, this person had like gold colored skin. And I saw their alien suits underneath their physical 3D identity bodies. And I was like, holy shit, there's some goofy motherfuckers in here, right? Like these just look goofy. And I laughed at myself because as a human being, we take ourselves so serious.
Yeah.
The way we look, the way our hair is, the way we have to be so perfect. But that's all conditioning. If we really knew what was inside of us, we would laugh at ourselves every single day. Anytime we would go down that path, it would just crack us up. Like we would roll into laughter, dude.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for the reminder. I'm gonna do that right now. Luke, you silly bastard. All right. I got one last question for you.
Yes.
And that is, who are 3 teachers or teachings that have influenced your life that you might share with the audience?
Yeah, we talked about the universe being mental. There was a book I read a while ago, and one of my mentors recommended it to me, Jim Fortin. And the book was called The Kybalion. And it's an ancient Hermetic text, so Hermetic teaching. And it goes through universal laws, super powerful stuff. So I would say that is incredibly powerful for anybody getting started on the journey. Right? When the whole world wakes up and everybody's a metaphysician or a mystic, which is super powerful.
Bring it on.
Number two, I would say, we talked, and I'm catering this towards the conversation that you and I had. So we talked about money because there's a million books, right? Every book's 20 years of somebody's life. There's so much value into it. When you approach every book as if you're interviewing that person for the first time, it's super powerful. So Science of Getting Rich, not Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, Maxwell?
By Wallace Wattles.
Oh, Wallace Wattles. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I used to listen to that audiobook.
So powerful. That'll change your life.
Yeah.
It'll change your frequency around money. There's so many gems, you guys. And you mentioned the last one, Maxwell Maltz, which is psychocybernetics.
Yes.
Because we did touch base at the end of this interview around looks, around how we perceive ourselves, our image. So psychocybernetics will blow your mind. It'll change your life. Those 3 books, if you read those 3 books every day for the next year, you just keep rereading them, you'll become a different human being. Over and over and over.
Such a good reminder. Those were some of the early, and I still have them in my iTunes, actually. Now I just listen to podcasts and Spotify and stuff. But Maxwell Maltz, both of those books were ones that were huge needle movers for me, and with the Napoleon Hill. But that's great advice to go back to.
Napoleon Hill's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever hear
Outwitting the Devil too is good?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever hear the lectures, the Napoleon Hill lectures? They recorded him, I guess, toward the end of his life, and he would do these these lectures for hundreds of people. And it's him talking and just like riffing on his teachings. Yeah. And I actually
He was a channel, man.
For sure. And
you have them?
I have those in my iTunes folder somewhere. Yeah.
We need to find those.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill lectures. You can find them on YouTube.
Yeah.
A couple of them as well. But man, those are super powerful because he's just talking in his everyday language, and they're super powerful, very impactful. Yeah.
You know what I like lately is I've been diving into Gene Keys, Richard Rudd. It's like the poetry of your soul.
Cool.
Essentially. So we talked a little bit about, the different tests we can take to understand ourselves, know thyself even more. Mm-hmm. Gene Keys is powerful. You go there and it just tells you a little bit more about who you are. Like human design. I love human design. I've been studying it for years. But those two together, human design, pull your chart, look at what you are, see if it makes any sense. And then Gene Keys, it'll change your life. And there's so many good audios, actually. So talk about transmission, like a living transmission of love. You go on SoundCloud, you type in Richard Rudd or Gene Keys. Mm-hmm. There's some powerful stuff. I think one called is The Great Change. And he's actually talking, he's got this beautiful British voice, and he's like talking you through the change of like what's happening right now and how the world's waking up. And it's just like, it puts you in a trance and it makes you feel such peace. That's nothing. I can send you the link for the people listening. I think they would dig that.
Sweet. We'll put it all in the show notes. Everything we talked about, you guys, you can get on the show notes.
And of course, Organifi, right?
Yeah. So,
what's your favorite product? Just so I know.
I mean, honestly, I have to say the green powder, dude.
The green?
I mean,
that's
I have
our OG.
I have my phases of like drinking the gold all the time, the Organifi gold, because you can make all kinds of different stuff out of it. The red juice through Greenfield, then you discovered the new marinade with the red juice powder, which is amazing. But out of all the green powders out there, and I've tried many of them, there's some good ones who will remain unnamed in the context of this conversation. I think yours is the most palatable and easy to mix, and just easy to get down.
Yeah.
And so, that. But you guys have like the turmeric capsules and like the prebiotic. I don't know. Like at some point I was getting boxes full of Organifi stuff, and I still have a lot of it. I can even keep up with it.
Well, we would love to be back on the show too. I know you've been talking to Hannah. So
we'll do it. Maybe it will by the time this happens.
We're in Sedona. Miracles happen like just like this. You have a thought and all of a sudden it happens.
This is true. And on that note, speaking of Organifi, thank you for making products that aren't shit, dude. There's a lot of stuff. You go into Whole Foods and go in the superfood and herb section, and because I've been into this stuff for so long, I'm pretty discerning and look at an ingredient deck and you're like, no. They snuck that in there. People cut corners with excipients and fillers and all kinds of swaggy stuff. So I remember when I first found you guys, I think, which was from Shauna probably hitting me up to do ads on the show. I was very scrutinizing like I always am. I'm like, God damn it, these guys actually did it right. So thank you for your integrity as a business owner and not cutting corners and giving stuff that's really going to help people.
Yeah, if I wouldn't give it to my mom and dad or the people that I love the most, why would I ever give it to another human being?
Yeah, tell Coca-Cola that.
For real. No,
Tyson chicken.
Most people, if I can sell it and not have to teach you anything, and it's making me money, making money from this, then I'll just continue to sell it.
Yeah.
I'll poison you, dude, and I'll make money on it. Like that's how perverse
brutal
some of the dark forces on the planet right now. But that's all quickly shifting.
Yeah. Okay, so links, Organifi with an I.
With an I.
.com.
Organifi.com.
Yeah. And then are you still very active with the Fit Life TV?
Not so much anymore.
Okay.
I occasionally do some YouTube videos, but I am launching a podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Do you have a name for it yet?
Drew and You. So
Drew
it's all
you?
about you. And we're going to dive deep. You're going to be on the show. You just don't know it yet. Your future self.
Let's do it. Come to Austin.
Yeah. I want to, I'm debating on like potentially living in Austin a little bit too.
All of us
I've heard good things.
We'll see. I don't know. I might end up there, might not. It's a 50-50 decision with the lady over there.
Yeah, it's important.
We
you have
both,
a medicine woman.
Yeah, a wise and very tapped in one. So, I'll follow her lead on that.
I need to ask mine too.
It's hard to leave California, to be honest, man. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship.
31 years.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've lived most of my 50 years in California at large, but in Southern California, 31. And it's a weird divorce that's about to happen. Anyway, what about social media? We can find you on Instagram.
Drew Canole. Yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Drew Canole. Okay.
And YouTube, I believe.
All right, dude.
Drew Canole.
Let's go.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man. Let's go stuff our face with Mexican food.
Let's go.
And thank you again for your hospitality and friendship. Much appreciated.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.
Thanks for being in Sedona.
Yep.
Thanks for Cookie.
The co-host finally made her appearance. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling very inspired and uplifted after this conversation with Drew Canole. I can only assume that is also your shared experience. If you heard some things mentioned in this conversation that you'd like to go back and review, don't forget that you can get complete show notes delivered to your inbox every week, complete with a link to the complete transcripts of every word spoken in every single episode. How do you do it? Super simple. Go to lukestory.com/newsletter. That's lukestory.com/newsletter. Now, wait. I know. You're like, newsletter? I don't want to be on another goddamn newsletter. I already unsubscribed from 12 of them today, and I probably did too. Here's the thing, though. All I really ever send you on my newsletter is like, hey, here's a new podcast. Here's the links in the show notes from everything we discussed. Every once in a while, and I mean great once in a while, I might send you something that's like, hey, this is my new EMF course. Check it out. But I don't really sell a lot in my newsletter. It's more like just sharing content with you. And my content is the thing that sells things, when I read the sponsor plugs, stuff like that. But honestly, I'd be really happy to get you on my newsletter. And it's a great way that we can stay in touch outside of the tyrannical clutches of big tech. It's like any day, and I don't want to manifest this, but who knows if my channels or podcasts or anything is going to be there, quite frankly. I might say something that the Orwellian dystopian powers that be don't like, and I get unpersoned as the health and wellness Alex Jones or something. I don't know. But anyway, let's hope not. But in the event that happens, I would love to have a way to keep in touch with you. And that can happen again at lukestory.com/newsletter. I'm trying to mind my P's and Q's right at the moment until all of the unrest blows over and we can kind of see what's happening. So I'm going to fly under the radar for a minute and just be on the love and light tip, if you know what I mean. But I'd love to have you on the newsletter. Okay. What do I have going on next? Oh, yes. I'd love for you also to subscribe to the show so you will get this Sunday's bonus rebroadcast episode of my recent appearance on the Wise Traditions podcast. And that episode's called Radical Positivity and Escaping Domestication. That's a really fun conversation that I had over on the Wise Traditions show, really talking about the root of humanity's problem being that we've thrown ourselves in these human zoos and what to do to escape them. So I really enjoyed that conversation. I'm guessing you will as well. And let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. Of course, one of them, incidentally, is Organifi. And you just learned a lot about their amazing founder, who's a beautiful person, and they make some incredible products. It's funny, it's not often that I have someone on as a guest and then they also were one of the sponsors. Incidentally, that's all Organifi did for this show. I just wanted Drew on the show because he's just a badass guy, and I just love talking to him. And when I love talking to someone, I always sit there and think, why don't I have mics on right now? And I'm learning to do that more and more. So Drew's one of those guys. But anyway, that's the way it panned out. We've got Organifi. I'd encourage you to check out their red and gold products. You'll know what I mean when you get to the site. That's Organifi.com/lifestylist. Organifi is spelled with an I. Organifi.com/lifestylist. The code is also lifestylist, and that gets you 20% off. And we've got our friends over at Juve. That's juve.com/Luke. Using the code Luke there will get you an exclusive discount on Juve's Generation 3.0 red light therapy devices. Juve.com/Luke. And then we've got Beekeepers Naturals. That's beekeepersnaturals.com/Luke Story. The audience code there is lifestylist, and that gets you 15% off. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to getting back in your ears next Tuesday.